Hey everybody, John the Other here, obviously. And today I'm going to do a little bit of white splaining. This is not a video from BuzzFeed that I'm responding to, but it might as well be. I mean, the title is 20 Questions Black People Have for White People That BuzzFeed Didn't Ask. Forgot to? Are these BuzzFeed employees? Was this written by a BuzzFeed writer? Could have been. Or maybe it's satire. I mean, maybe the video I'm responding to is actually satire making fun of BuzzFeed. It's hard to tell. The questions are just about as equally dumb. It's hard to believe anybody actually believes that these are realistic or legitimate questions. However, rather than scorning or mocking or belittling either the hired ding-dongs paid to do the talking head part of this or the writer or producer of it, I'm just going to answer all these questions as if they're actual straight questions in a straight way. Like the white cracker that I am. Let's get started.
Be honest. You hate black people, don't you?
I will be honest. I never used to, and I don't think I do now, although I certainly do fear black people a lot more than I used to since the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement. It never used to cross my mind that, if I see some black person that I'm like in physical danger. It never crossed my mind, but now it does, and Black Lives Matter has that as their accomplishment to little pat themselves on the back for.
White people, do you know what gentrification is doing to black neighborhoods?
Yeah, it's driving the property prices up, driving all the interesting people out, and replacing them with yuppies. Exactly the same as it's doing to the neighborhood I live in.
Why is being a former drug dealer a bad thing?
Because whether you still hold the views and the philosophy that you did at the time that you were a drug dealer or not, it indicates that you were willing to sacrifice the safety, the health, and the well-being of other people for your own personal financial gain.
But being a former slave owner, totally okay in white America.
Being a former slave owner is not totally okay because nobody in America is a former slave owner.
Do you honestly think the structure of America is not based on racism?
The structure of America is not based on racism.
Do you really think you discovered America?
America was discovered hundreds of years before I was born, so no, I do not think I discovered it. Thank you for asking.
Do you really think it's yours?
Do I really think it's mine? Well, let's assume just for the sake of argument that I'm an American citizen. I'm not, but for your question, sure, I'm an American citizen. Do I think America is mine? The question makes no sense. The question is absurd. Do I think it's mine? I'm a person. I'm one person. As is any other one person who might attempt to answer any of the questions in this video.
When I'm upset, I'm an angry black man.
Or black woman?
But when you're upset, you're just upset. Aren't you an angry white man?
Oh no, I'm not just an angry white man. I'm an angry white, cis, hetero, patriarchal scum, rape apologist, woman-hating shitlord. That's what I am when I'm angry. Haven't you been paying attention? Remember that thing called feminism? I'm the principal target. Get over yourself, angry black man.
Why isn't racism illegal?
I can think of two reasons. One is that racism is a thought. It's in your head. So a thought can't be illegal, at least not yet. The second reason why isn't racism illegal, if it was, you'd be in trouble too.
Why is gaining the black vote so important?
Because politicians see poor people, black or white, as rubes to be easily manipulated. And if you can move an entire voting block, you can get, at least the black vote, you can get, a good solid 5 to 10% of the vote with one set of policies.
But mass incarceration against black people isn't.
The second part of your question, why isn't mass incarceration of black people, should properly be phrased black men, is because the concept of civil rights is lip service. It's nonsense. The U.S. isn't run on racist policies, it's run on financial policies by and for the financial elite, and what happens to the poor people doesn't matter to them at all.
Why are all of y'all afraid of black people?
Because Black Lives Matter, which is the present version of whatever you call kind of the civil rights movement, is very clearly a hate-based, violent, racist movement building up towards retributive murder of whites. That's why.
What are you going to do about systematic racism?
I'm going to do nothing. Nothing at all about systematic racism. Now, I spent 10 years fighting what I saw as systematic sexism, and I got chewed up for it, and advanced the goals not forward an inch. So what I'm going to do is live my life happily and peacefully, and you can live yours. That's all anybody can do.
Why must you own all the media outlets?
Okay, I started this with the intention of not being mean and not making fun of people, but it's hard because that's a very dumb question. Yes, it's a dumb question. People are not collectives. I'm not every white person. I'm not Ted Turner. I'm just a guy living my life the same as you're just a large black woman living your life. Why must I own all the media outlets? Well, I mustn't, because I don't. Thank you for asking.
Why does every race qualify for reparations except black people?
Reparations? Really? Are we going there? I thought we were all adults. Reparations are theft. That's theft basically from your children, because it'll be paid through debt financing through a government, right? Which means that you put a debt onto the children of whatever government is paying the reparations. And you're paying it to people who were not slaves, by the way, to their ancestors many generations on. And you're taking the money from people who were not slave owners. They're just their ancestors. Guilt, culpability is not heritable. It doesn't inherit down the generations. People are responsible for what they did personally, not for what other people long dead may or may not have done. Now, coming back to racism, ideas like this, seeking after reparations, that may be a significant stumbling block and hurdle for the public to overcome racism when this idea is still widely held within the black community, because it's thievery from their children in the form of debt.
You guys prevented black people from learning how to read and write. But why did you let them keep the Bible?
You guys, us guys, prevented black people from learning to read and write. I don't even think that's possible. I learned to read and write, not very well writing, but I learned to read and write in a rudimentary way by the time I was 4 years old. Nobody taught me. I just taught myself. And I think that's how almost everybody in history learns to read and write, at least before we had public formal education. So that's kind of a nonsense, ridiculous thing to say. It's a little bit of victim grievance mongering, isn't it? But let's just assume, okay, fine. White people prevented black people from learning to read and write, right? Imagine that. And left them the Bible. Well, why did they do that? Well, I don't know. Why don't you look it up? Because you've got an education now. You can read and write now. You've got the internet because your video is online. So Google it, fucko. Or are you the lazy friend who never Googles anything and just makes their friend Google stuff for them? Come on.
Historically, you've never liked black people.
Historically, you've never liked black people. You know who else tells me what I think wrong? Tells me wrong what I think? Like, tells me that I think things I don't? Feminists tell me what I think all the time, and they're always wrong. You don't want to be a feminist, do you? You don't want to be like them, do you? But historically, white people never liked black people. I'm sorry. The mainstream version of American history is that the Civil War was fought to end slavery, and that's a war in which 600,000 people died. Now, I happen to think that the mainstream version of history is a little bit oversimplified. I think there's a lot of other factors. There was all kinds of stuff going on. It wasn't just as simple as let's end slavery. But ending slavery was a big component in that war in which 600,000 people died. Please don't tell me this simplistic, stupid story. Oh, white people have historically always hated black people. It's dumb. It makes you look dumb. Come on. You're not dumb. You're smart. Be smart.
But why have you always accepted black people's money?
This question is... come on. Really? Seriously. Is the purpose of this video to make everybody think that black people are just stupid? Because I'm not quite ready to believe that yet. Money, it isn't black people's money or white people's money. It's just money, and it trades hands all the time. From a poor person to a rich person, or sometimes the other way around. From a white person to a black person, sometimes the other way around. From a Chinese person to a native person, sometimes the other way around. From an Australian to a German, etc., and so on. Even if they hate each other, they still love each other's money. That's how money works.
What does colonization mean to you?
Doesn't mean much to me at all. Maybe you should Google it.
You do know crack and cocaine are both drugs, right? Can you find out why Bill Clinton thinks one should carry a harsher sentence than the other?
I neither know nor care what Bill Clinton thinks about crack cocaine or regular cocaine. I'm sure he loves at least one of those. But why does anybody care? That guy hasn't been the president of the US since 2001. That's 15 years ago, ding dong. Jesus, wake up and smell the 90s.
When we talk about slavery, why are you uncomfortable?
Well, I'm not uncomfortable talking about slavery. The more interesting question would be, why do you keep trying to make people uncomfortable?
Why do you want to adopt the fun part of black culture, but not the true lifestyle of black American?
That's easy, because it's the fun part.
I gotta know, why do you wear shorts in the wintertime?
Finally, a non-insulting and non-retarded question, which I'm only too happy to answer. Why do I wear shorts all year round? And, in fact, I do. Well, because they're very comfortable. And my ancient ancestors lived on glaciers, so the cold doesn't bother me. Thanks for asking, and have a lovely, lovely day.